afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. We will be landing in the airport in just a few minutes.
Well, how you doing, everyone? Welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. Been battling this, trying to get my recording to work. We've done a bunch of upgrading, and boy, I tell you, posting videos can make you pull your hair out sometimes. All right. Well, I've been getting a lot of comments and we've been doing a lot of tweaking, and there's been a whole bunch going on in the Sims. So we're gonna dive right into it. As you saw in the thumbnail, in this video, I'm using no DLSS and I'm using no frame gen, and I'm just going to show you the results of what we're getting here. And yeah, but first let me take you into the settings. Oh, there we go. All right, here we are in the settings. You can see I'm running, I got HDR 10 turned off because if I try to play in HDR 10, which looks absolutely amazing, it screws things up for me when I try to record in 4K and everything. So I got HDR 10 turned off. We're just running in native 4K right now. As you can see, I'm running no DLSS. I'm on TAA right now. So we're not upscaling, downscaling. We're just native resolution. I got the AMD FX fidelity sharpening on 150. And I've tweaked this down here a little bit. I've got the max frame rate turned on. So we definitely got that turned on. In my last video, I did have max frame rate set, so I have my frames locked in. I've adjusted the frames that I'm locking it in, though. In the last video, I was locking it in at 60. This one, now that I've redone things, I'm going to lock it in at 65. And as you can see, I've got frame gen turned off. My monitor refresh rate is set on half my monitor refresh rate. I'm running an OLED monitor. It's got 240 hertz refresh rate. So running at half my monitor refresh rate locks that in at 120. Okay, yeah, and I've got this locked in. So this is actually a little bit over that, but it's okay. You'll see. And that's it. And the reflex low latency is on. The global settings, we're not going to go through all of that. Like I mentioned in my previous video, I would recommend you go check that out. I'm running auto FPS for my TLOD and my OLOD. You can check out the settings. That's how I've got everything else set there. So we're on high and ultra for everything. We do have ray trace shadows turned on. Resume. Now I do have an overlay installed. I'll turn that on, top left corner. There you go, top left corner. Now you can see we're at 65. That's what I got my frames locked in at. And you can see my 1% lows. Now in my last video, I talk all about dialing in your sim and getting this all looking the way you want it. You want your 1% lows to be up there and stable. As you can see, they're up there, they're stable. They're moving a little bit around when the view changes here, the scene. I've got cinematic mode. We've got chase plane going. But look at that frame timeline. That's what you want to do. That's a lack of stutter. Every time the view changes, you'll see a stutter right there, like it just popped and you'll see a little stutter. But that's what you want to get your sim running smooth. I am running an RTX 5090, and even with my RTX 5090, I could get definitely more FPS. if I unlock my FPS and let it go. But then it's bouncing all over the place. My 1% lows are bouncing all over the place. My FPS is bouncing all over the place. This looks like a heart attack down here. It looks like B-fib or cardiac arrest. And yeah, just not a good situation. So this is what we want to see, total stability, and you want to flatline this as much as you can. I have real weather going. We got the clouds going. Toronto's a little bit socked in here. We've got a scenery pack for the scenery of Toronto itself. You can see it's looking pretty awesome right there. We're at City Center Airport, just off the shoreline of Toronto there. And this is a payware scenery pack, as you saw at the beginning there, and maybe from some of those cinematic views. Yeah, so this is a payware package. I also have Toronto Pearson International Airport here, and that's a payware airport. So this whole area is scenery intense, and we're using the new Black Square Caravan Professional. So we're gonna push the sim a little bit. It's a GA aircraft. It doesn't push it as much as if I were in a PMDG or something like that. But yeah, we're gonna get right to it. So yeah. Now, when your 1% lows, like I said, I'm in the cockpit. You see my 1% lows are locked in and where my FPS is. You want them as close to your FPS. Now, they're going to move. Once we get the plane fired up and start going, they're going to draw. But you want to keep them good. I want to try and keep these above 20 FPS and as close to my locked in FPS as I can. And as you can see, it's pretty close, and it's giving me an absolute flat line here. So let's get going. And as you can see, as I look around, I can show you my views. We'll look around some of the views. We'll scroll around, right? Right, cinematic view. That's the flyby. That's our spot view. It's our wing view, right? And our nose views. All these views are chase planes. So I'm cycling through my views, no problem. And this is looking pretty good. When you do that and bounce around your views, this takes a second to settle out and get back to what we saw a minute ago. But I'm going to close that overlay for a sec. We're going to bring up the flight sim FPS counter. Right there, you can have a look at that, and it too showing us locked in at 65 FPS. Everything is green. We've got no bottlenecks. Got all tongue tied there for a minute. And yeah, and if you look at my graphics queue and my main thread queue, my graphics queue is actually a little bit higher than my main thread. My main thread's 10, 11, peaking at 12 there, and this is at 12. So yeah, we're looking good. Everything else is green. So yeah, we're happy. And this is what it takes for a smooth sim. And this is with no frame gen. Let's not forget that. We've got no frame gen, no DLSS. Okay, let's fire this thing up. Let's shut that off. Let's get this aircraft fired up, and then we'll get this thing up in the air. Fuel boost on. Ignition on. Let's turn that on. Standby power on. We want a stable 14% on the NG before we kick her into low idle. Oh shoot, I forgot. Oh damn, I'm gonna hot start it. Oh damn. That was close. That was really close. Okay. That was close, my friends. I almost hot started that one. I buggered that up. Let's put this on normal. Let's turn our starter off. Let's bring our generators to normal. Let's get our 2. We're good. Reset. And I think we should, yes, all enunciators are clear. Yeah, I almost buggered that one up, folks. That was as close as you come to a hot start.
Okay.
For sure. Okay, beacons on. Let's get these lights sorted out here. Strobes off. Okay, not paying attention to what I'm doing. All right, let's get this thing out to the runway. Let's go bring up some numbers here. We got our overlay back up there. Now, you don't want to worry so much about those FPS. What we really want to concentrate is our 1% lows. We want them as high as we can and as steady as we can. Even if they're a little lower, I want to see them steady. Stable. Stability is the name of the game, not crazy FPS. So yeah, I'm all kinds behind the aircraft here. Trying to pay attention to what I'm doing here. Fly the airplane, but do this at the same time. Tweaking our settings. All right, let's get our strobes on, landing lights on. Let's throw a notch of flaps in there. Yeah, let's get our mixture full rich. Let's get our prop full forward. Okay, let's head out there. Yeah, those 1% lows, 56. Doing great. And you can see nothing's stuttering. I hope it's not stuttering in the video. In my sim right now, it's pretty smooth. Okay, just double check everything. Check my engines, my instruments, everything's good. Okay. All right, let's bring our power up. Watching those. My RPMs there, my torque. All right, here we go. We're watching for stuttering. We're watching those numbers to stay stable. See the FPS stay stable. That 1% low stay stable. Oh. 20 knot wind there. Okay, we got a good climb out going here. Forgot to set up my aircraft. There we go. We can make our turn. Stay in the pattern here. Now I want about 1,300 feet. Let's try not to get our speed up too fast. Stay in the circuit here. Okay, I think we can turn downwind. Oh, I got my altitude. Watch your altitude. Watch your altitude. But you see those FPS locked in there? And that 1% low, almost at what my FPS is? That's what you wanted. That's best case scenario right there. Okay. I'm gonna pull back on our torque. Let's get this thing trimmed out. There we go. A little bit. Crabbing in on my... Okay, let's get a notch of flaps back in there. Almost ready to make our way too high. I'll start to make a slow turn here. Let's get some of that altitude, bleed some of that altitude off. But you can see those 1% lows have dropped down to around 30. Well, they're back up there, 49.50. But, you know, it's that frame time and stuff you really want to keep an eye on. And you want to try and keep that with as least spikes as you can. Those spikes are stutters. What we're doing here, there's our runway. Nice shot of the skyline downtown. We can start our turn. I should have had another notch of flaps in there. Whoops, 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 whoops. What are you doing, Ken? Okay, this is a horrible, horrible pattern. I'm trying to look at those numbers. I've got 20 knot winds here. Driving me crazy.
$500.
Little low. Lot low. But yeah, once you get rid of those stutters and you get everything smoothed out, my controls are so smooth. My yoke, my rudder pedals. Got to stop looking at those FPS numbers here and pay attention to my flying. Mind me, I'm a little quiet, just trying to pay attention to what I'm doing here. With a 20 knot crosswind. Whoop. I wanted to get the windward wheel down first. That wind trying to flip me over there. All right. And you can see those 1% lows and everything are steady. That's what you want. You know, like NVIDIA has now just launched into beta the new adaptive frame gen that's going to do, if you got a 40 series card or a 50 series card, like the way it works now is when you got frame gen turned on, it puts a real frame, fake frame, real frame, fake frame, all right? And depending if you got a 2 times frame gen. If you got it more, 3 or 4, it'll put 3 or 4 in between each real frame. Well, the adaptive frame gen will work something like auto FPS, where it will automatically do it on its own. It could put 1 frame in there. It could put 3 frames in between. Which is all good if you're chasing FPS. Forgot to bring my flaps up. All right. Let's get our parking brakes on. Get her out of beta. Let's pull her down here. All right, let's kill all our lights. And kill our battery. Fuel off. We can leave that. That's off. Avionics off. And off. And there you go, folks. Just did a quick circuit. Stayed in the pattern, but just wanted to see or show you that that it's not about frame gen, and it's not about DLSS, right? It's about stability. And if you want a smooth running system, or flight sim, I should say, then you wanna get that stability. Now, there's nothing wrong with using DLSS, right? That's not what I'm saying. You shouldn't be using it, or you should be using it. Like I said, if DLSS works for you, absolutely, you should be using it. You should be doing what works for you. But the moral of the story that I'm trying to get at is that it's about the stability. It's not about the frame rates. If it was about the frame rates, I would unleash my Hemi, the 5090 there, and just let it go. But when I let it go, it knocks my, I got lots of horsepower. She pushes 600 watts, that card, and she'll use all of it. And, but yeah, my numbers are all unstable. Right now, my 1% low is locked in right where my FPS is. And it doesn't get better than that. It just doesn't get better than that. All right. So yeah, get those, oh yeah, I keep forgetting I can't jump into cinematic mode when I'm in first person mode there. There we go. There's the cinematic mode. So yeah, when you're dialing in your settings, find a good spot to lock your system in at, right? Let's go back to our settings, right? Find a good number. Now I'm running an RTX 5090, which is letting me run this up here at 65. But you don't need 65 FPS. My sim, when I'm in my PMDG aircraft, my frame rates will drop down to 40, 45 FPS, and they'll hang around in that area, and my sim runs butter smooth, just the way it's set up here, right? So you don't need it. This is just what I worked at. And when you set up your system, do it in the same scenario all the time. Same scenery, same aircraft, same weather conditions, and tax your system the same way. And just start moving this FPS number until you can find an FPS, that you can lock in, that your computer and that your system can handle good, right? And just remember with frame gen, right? With frame gen, the more you bump it up, like 2, 3, 4 times, the higher and more fake frames you put in between, you're going to add more latency. So yeah, you're gaining FPS, but you're losing latency, and that's totally defeating the purpose to me. To me, it's about stability, and you take away my latency. Can you imagine? You just saw me land in a 20-knot crosswind. Now, can you imagine what it would be like if your latency is all off and you're fighting your rudder pedals and you're fighting your throttles and your yoke and everything? It's not reacting fast enough. I was able to keep that pretty smooth for the most part. That's because of latency. And that's why I know I won't be, I'm not even using 2x frame gen here. So I know I'm not going to be using the adaptive frame gen. I'm just going to keep my system set up the way you just saw it and the way you see it. You can see the numbers up there on the left. She is rock solid and smooth as butter. And we can bring up the Microsoft numbers. They're telling us all the same thing. Everything's locked in, steady, minimal peaks and spikes here, right? That's all stuttering, right? My rolling cache, well, that I should go clean that out. I haven't cleaned that out in a while. I'm gonna do that. But yeah, that gives me a little thing every once in a while, but that's it. We're using just under 10 gigs of VRAM. I got 32 gigs of VRAM available. So yeah, VRAM is not an issue for me. Keep a close eye on this too when you're setting up your settings. If you got 14 gigs of VRAM available and you're pushing 12.5, knocking on the door of 13 gigs of VRAM, and this is yellow, you're already starting to run into areas. That is a big one. If you start to get up against your VRAM ceiling, you're going to run into issues and you're going to have a real hard time getting this looking anything close to this. So yeah, keep it off your VRAM ceiling, right? And you should be golden. Right? And lock in your frame rates, half your monitor refresh rate. You get it all dialed in. And try to turn this all green. So that's it. I just wanted to show you. No frame gen, no DLSS, and 60 FPS. 65 FPS. There you go. No clickbait. Yeah, so try that. Drop me a comment. Let me know in the comment section how you guys are going about it. That little flashing in the window there, I know with my door open, is distracting as hell. But yeah, that hopefully Black Square puts out a fix and they'll clean that up. I'm not too worried about that. Yeah, drop me a comment. Leave me a like. And let me know how you're going around the sim. Try this out. If this works out for you, do me a favor and come back and drop me a note and let me know how it works out for you, because I don't want to be pumping out information out there if it's not working out like that for everybody else, right? I'm running a 5090, but it's not about the video card, and that's why it kind of helps to hear the community chime in and see how they're faring. If they're able to lock in at 40 and 45 and still have good, like have their frame rates locked in at around 45 and still have their 1% lows hovering around 20, 25 in between, or close to your, whatever you got your frame rate locked into. Yeah, I would really be interested to know. Yeah, I'm hitting on this because IslandSimPilot, he did a video. He just released a video not too long ago, and he talks about the adaptive frame gen, and he talks about and hits on that the latency problems with cranking up your generated frames, and he's 100% hit the nail on the head. It was after seeing his video that made me think about it for a minute and say, you know what, I'm going to go do an experiment here. I came out and tested this. Let me show you one other thing before you I take off here. I'm glad I remembered it at the last second. Let me turn all this stuff off here. Let me bring up something else up here on my screen. It's the tool I use to get this overlay and record. It'll help you dial in your sim. Let me show you it. I'll leave a link for where you can get this too. There's a freeware version and a payware version for it. Just want to turn off those overlays because I'm running an OLED panel and I'm afraid of burning. Yeah, before we take off, right here, Cap Frame X. Yeah, you want to do yourself a favor and maybe check this out. It works in hand with Riva Tuner, the same thing that MSI does. Now, MSI is great. It'll do the same thing. You can use MSI Afterburner, get your overlay up there and see your 1% lows. But the problem with the MSI Afterburner, it doesn't let you record and track your stuff. It's more for overclocking your GPU and stuff. This, on the other hand, lets me record and capture and record, and like you can see up here on the left. Let's go here. Let's click on the first one. Let's go to analysis, right? This isn't this flight. I didn't record a session during this flight. I should have, just so we could have showed it on here. But this was my last one before I even got to this point. If I would have recorded on a session on this one, I just hit F11 and it'll record for 2,000 seconds and it'll just tell me the state of what my sim's doing. But you can see here on the bottom right, my stuttering when I was doing this session here was 1.2. I had 0% low FPS. I was pretty much locked in at my FPS, so I had no low FPS, and my smoothness was 98.8%. So I was 1.2% nuts. So that stuttering, that 1.2% stuttering, 90% of that is invisible to the naked eye. So you can't even see it, right? So yeah, you can go through, you can see some are worse. There's one that's worse, 2.7. And this is me trying different settings. I'll make some settings, come in, run a session, record it, and then come and see what my results is. I was only 97% smooth here. And I had 0.1% low FPS here. So my FPS were bouncing a bit, right? And you can see as we go and check out different ones that got different results, right? And I just kept going and going and just seeing what kind of, look at this one. I know only 96% smooth, right? Just mucking with yours. So go check this out. I'll leave a link for it, Cap Frame X. This is what I use. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, but I think this is what IslandSimPilot uses too. Yeah, and then on the bottom left here, you can see it recorded my info. I have an AMD Ryzen 9 7900X 3D. I have an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5090. It's the Tough Edition. I'm running 64 gigs of the Kingston Fury RAM at 6400 MTS. And yeah, that's it. Microsoft Flight Simulator. That's it. So that's that. So we'll leave it there. Do me a favor. Drop me a like. Let me know if this helped you a lot or any. And drop me a comment and let me know your thoughts on dialing in the sim and if you tried this and how it's working out for you. I really would appreciate that. As always, my friends, we're going to leave it right there. Stay safe. Remember to keep the blue side up, and we'll catch you in the next video. Later.